Hi everyone! I'm back with another YouTube video, this time with Comm and Talk Episode 2. Now, they usually say that sequels aren't as good as the first, so let's hope this episode can be a part of those few good sequels, shall we? Now, for those of you who are new, first of all, welcome. My name is Andres, and I'll be your host for this mini-series, where I'll talk about a fun reading that I read for my Comm 320 class. If you guys missed episode 1, then I do recommend you check that one out first. So, how was that? Good? Anything I got change?
OMG, I loved it, and I love you.
Wow, gee whiz. Thanks. You know, I got good actual feedback here. You want to chip, by the way? I got Doritos.
Not the time for Doritos. But if I do have to give you feedback, I think I overall enjoyed it. You welcomed back the audience and made it clear to new viewers that this is a part of the series, and it is worth checking out in order. One thing that I think you could have slightly altered, though, was your excessive modesty. When you mentioned bad sequels, you brought it back to your own series by saying, let's hope this is one of the good sequels. But that kind of gives the sense that you're unsure if this episode will live up to expectations. Instead, you can be confident about yourself and say outright, this will not be one of those bad sequels. Aside from that, though, I think that you spoke naturally and have done a good job of grabbing the attention of the audience.
Alright, cool. Oh yeah, the audience. Alright, go away now. I'm still recording. So sorry about that, guys. I guess you're wondering what that was all about, huh? Well, similar to episode 1, that too was connected with the topic of today's video. The topic, feedback processes. Now, stay sharp. While this doesn't sound as complicated as symbolic convergence theory, it definitely has some very notable things to take away. So let's get straight into it, shall we? Now, to start, today's reading will be based upon a chapter within the book, Small Group Communication, Theory and Practice. More specifically, it's going to be on chapter 10, Feedback Processes and Task Groups by Beth Bonniwell Hazlitt and John R. Ogilvy. Hopefully I said that right. I do apologize if I said it wrong. As mentioned before, while this may not be as complicated as SCT, the information here has some very useful applications within our daily lives that I overall tend to agree with. And to explain why I do, perhaps it's best if I just show you what this article even talked about. So as you could guess, it discusses feedback processes that small groups, in this instance, task groups, utilize and their effects within them. While the feedback that I got within the intro wasn't from a task group, I'll still be using it as an example of what I mean, as I think it's able to show much of what this article discusses about. So starting first with what the writers mean by feedback in small groups. On page 97, they define it as the messages that group members send each other regarding events and processes in the group. Within this article, they mainly look at the nature of feedback and how to better say or write it. There's something that is important to first understand when it comes to it as well, and that is the dimensions of it. That is to say, its underlying features. While there are many ways to look at it, Hazlitt and Ogilvy define 5 vital dimensions of feedback. Its dynamism, trustworthiness, clarity, mood or general tone, and critical nature. This differentiates from other studies they looked at, most notably one conducted by Harold and Greller, who saw these dimensions as negative feedback, positive feedback from persons higher in authority, positive feedback from peers, internal or self-determined criteria, and a workflow feedback. This is all found on page 99. What this dimension helps show is the complex way in which feedback is expressed and demonstrates the importance of both parties involved. However, before diving deeper into them, let's discuss the importance of the individuals and the role that feedback plays on a receiver. Looking at figure 10.1 that Hazlitt and Ogilvy provides on page 99, a model taken from J.R. Hackman's and C.G. Morris's work, long name, get ready, group tasks, group interaction process, and group performance effectiveness, a review and proposed integration, they show how the determinants of an individual's performance, that is, relevant skills and knowledge, motivation, and appropriate task performance strategies are influenced greatly by the feedback that they receive. Tying it all together using the feedback I received in the intro, this all helps demonstrate its function. For example, when my friend told me that there is no time for Doritos, this could be taken as cueing, or correcting the inappropriate behavior of a team member. In this case, me talking about Doritos instead of my assignment. And so you guys don't get confused, this is referred to as cue behavior in figure 10.1. Furthermore, when my friend gave me positive feedback towards things I did well, it helped motivate me to continue working and performing what I did right, having me exert more effort into my next intro. Finally, in offering criticism and telling me things I should say or change for next time, my friend's feedback allowed me to develop future potential by having me the knowledge and improve on certain skills. As I showed, feedback plays a very important function when it comes to an individual's performance of the task. However, they greatly also depend on how and why they respond to said feedback. For example, in order to even do so, an individual must perceive and agree with the feedback they were given. In addition, they have to develop an intention to respond, and finally, must set goals for improvement that comes about from it, allowing for discussion and a communication between the two individuals. And more so, it demonstrates the character of the receiver as well. In this manner, Hassel and Ogilvy show the importance of viewing feedback as a communicative process, as we can identify a source, the actual message, and receiver that can help assess it. The characteristics of the source, message, and even the receiver are something vital that Hastel and Ogilvy presents. Starting with source, their characteristics are trustworthiness, power/status, and communicator style. Trust, as Hastel and Ogilvy state on page 101, is the golden rule of feedback, as the amount of trust you place in a person decides whether you listen to them or not. Power and the status refers to the authority of a source, and communicator style is the way in which the source presents themselves and their feedback. As for the message, its characteristics are content, timing, and channel and message valence. Content refers to the message containing referent or appraisal information, which looks to boost group productivity and appraises the individual's behavior respectively. Timing refers to when the feedback was given, and channel is the way in which it was provided. Message valence refers to whether it was positive or negative. More on negative later. Finally, for the receiver, the characteristics depend on their mindset and qualities. Mindset referring to their perception, expectations, overall mood when receiving the feedback, qualities referring to any self-esteem or anxiety they may feel that can influence whether to take a message or not. With these characteristics that are still Ogilvy define, let's use their communicative strategies to define good feedback. As they present throughout page 104 through 105, good feedback should be direct and specific, supported by evidence, and focused on the task to be accomplished, all of which I believe my friend helped demonstrate in his feedback to me. As within his feedback, he was overall direct and specific alongside providing examples while focusing on the task I had. Due to my trust in him, his overall message, and my mindset and qualities, I was able to receive good feedback in regards to his intro. Going back a bit then, I wanted to discuss negative feedback. Hastel and Ogilvy talk about the tendency to avoid giving negative feedback and even provides a way to rectify this. As they present on page 106, people can present negative feedback by 1. Sandwiching the negative comments within positive comments, 2. Framing the issue as one that involves both of you, 3. Use qualifiers to sum the force of the negative feedback, 4. Give reasons for the negative feedback, and finally 5. Use descriptive rather than evaluative language. Something interesting to note is something presented within Potosky, Denise et al.'s book, Modeling the Feedback Process in Teams, a Field Study of Teamwork, where on page 1242, they present an argument that instead, negative feedback should be presented as a routine socialization feedback practice, pointing out or omitting individual mistakes to demonstrate one's engagement with and commitment to each other. When they studied this feedback processes of a French military group. While both articles present their pointers of negative feedback, it's interesting to see how Potosky et al. Presents this idea that negative feedback should still be socialized in groups to where there is no hesitation in providing it. In short, it was a distinction between the two articles I wanted to show, as despite sharing the same idea of the importance of negative feedback, the differences between the groups studied demonstrates the differences in ideas that arose. Overall, I would agree very strongly with the ideas that Hastel and Ogilvy presents. Their ideas on feedbacks and the role of it and the ideal version of it is something that I personally strive to give while hoping to receive as well. The strategies for giving negative feedback was also greatly appreciated, but I would very much agree with Potosky's approach, as I believe that we should attempt to have a socialization of negative feedback that can allow for a completely open and honest environment despite any variables. Now, when looking at how this applies to what I'll be doing in class, feedback is obviously going to be very vital when it comes to my current and future groups, as it is a way to really boost productivity and the quality of our final work. And if I hang out with them for long enough, as Potosky will present, by socializing negative feedback, we'd be able to really be open and honest with each other, which I personally highly value. By extension, in any future career or relationship, these ideas are also vital within the real world, as by understanding how to give feedback, alongside being able to take some, it can allow me to really grow as a person and provide my best to the organizations that I work for. Now, that's going to be it for this Comm and Talk. It was really a whole lot, that's for sure. It really made me feel like a professor giving a lecture. Now, before I head out, I do want to leave you all with some questions which will be on screen right now. First one being, in what ways can feedback from AI affect our productivity or group performance? How different would our response be to it compared to, just regular feedback online? And second, should feedback processes be limited to humans? Is it possible that animals within their own groups undergo a form of feedback processes? what would this entail? Or is language essential to even undergo any sort of communicative process in the first place? Now, to explain the second one a bit more, I just thought like wolves, the packs they hold. I believe there might be some sort of feedback process that they probably have when undergoing certain tasks like hunting or just foraging. So that's just something I really personally wanted to really see if you guys had any idea about, if these things should be limited to humans or if there's perhaps room for expanding them towards like other animals as well. So yeah, make sure to leave your comments down below if you have any response to any of these questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video was definitely an interesting one. I loved it a lot. Made me really realize the importance of feedback and both the poor and good ones I used to give out when I was younger. Alright, so I'll see you guys soon. Stay alive.